You've made the brand decision in Unit 2.3, personal name or distinct entity name. And now the name itself has to clear a set of conflict checks before you commit anything to it. This unit walks the clearance work. 5 separate registries and databases each cover a different layer of conflict: federal trademark, state entity registration, domain ownership, social platform handles, and informal use that hasn't been registered anywhere. Each one of the 5 matters, each one can block you, and the cost of finding a problem after you've invested in the name escalates fast, from free at the search stage to thousands of dollars at the post-launch rebrand stage. The gap I want to name up front is the one most coaches walk into without realizing they walked into it. 2 of the 5 checks happen by default because they're built into how people search the internet. You'll naturally check the domain when you go to buy it, and you'll naturally Google the name when you're considering it. The other 3 checks, federal trademark database, state entity database, social handles in a structured way, don't happen unless you sit down deliberately to run them. Which means most coaches discover trademark conflicts and state registration conflicts after they've already printed materials. The afternoon to run all 5 up front prevents the expensive discovery later. The order of the 5 steps is deliberate, and running them in order rather than parallel saves you wasted effort. USPTO trademark search goes first because it's federal and the conflict reach is broadest. State business name database second because state-level registration controls whether you can even form the LLC with that name in your state. Domain availability third. Primary and alternate top-level domains. Social handle scan fourth. LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, wherever your audience lives. Basic web search fifth, as the loose net that catches informal users. Each check that fails saves you from running the next ones. If USPTO surfaces a blocking conflict, you move to your second choice name before checking domains, not after. Step 1 is the federal trademark search at TESS, the trademark electronic search system at tess.uspto.gov. Free, public, run as many searches as you want. What you're searching is standard character marks, the type that protect the literal name itself regardless of how it's stylized in a logo. Live registrations and pending applications both count. The classes that matter for coaches are Class 41, Educational and Training Services, and Class 45, which covers personal services including coaching. A blocking conflict is same or confusingly similar mark in same or overlapping class. Your name might be unique in Class 25 for apparel, and that's still irrelevant if Class 41 is occupied. Confusingly similar is the legal standard, and it includes the root word, not just the exact phrase you chose. Name your practice Apex Coach LLC, and you also have to check Apex by itself in the service classes. Because Apex Coaching, Apex Leadership, and Apex Strategies are all potentially conflicting prior registrations, the trademark office may treat as similar to yours. You don't need to be a trademark attorney to run the TESS search. You do need to be honest with yourself about the similarity standard rather than reading borderline conflicts as clears because you've already committed to the name internally. The instinct to rationalize is the failure mode here. Step 2 is the state business name database, hosted by your Secretary of State, usually with a free online search tool. Most states require LLC names to be distinguishable from existing registered entities within the state, and distinguishable has specific statutory meaning that varies by jurisdiction. Adding LLC to a name that's otherwise taken usually doesn't make it distinguishable. Adding group or services or solutions to an existing name often doesn't either. The trap I see most often: coaches clear the federal test check, assume they're safe, and discover at formation that someone formed Sun Coaching LLC in their state 2 years earlier. State-level conflict is cheap to address at the naming stage and expensive after. Step 3 is domain availability across the primary and alternate top-level domains, and the alternates matter more than coaches expect. Search the exactmatch.com first because it's still the default users type when they hear a brand name. Then check .co and .net and .org for the exact match, even if you wouldn't use them as your primary. Competitors sometimes snipe alternate top-level domains to redirect traffic or create confusion. I've watched a coach watch a competitor buy the .net version of her domain 6 months after launch and redirect it to a comparison page. Owning the alternates yourself runs $10 or $15 per domain per year and removes that attack surface entirely. Steps 4 and 5 close out the scan: social handles and the basic web search. Handle check on LinkedIn first, since that's where coaching prospects most often verify someone, then on the platforms your specific audience uses: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Substack. Choose by your distribution strategy, not by completeness. Exact match handles are ideal. Approximate handles with consistent bio disambiguation are workable. The web search is the loosest of the 5. Name in quotes. Scan the first 3 pages of results. Look for anyone using the name informally in a way that would create market confusion. Not legally binding, but it surfaces the messy edge cases the registries don't capture. 2 scenarios are when engaging a trademark attorney earns its fee. First, TESS surfaces something potentially conflicting and you can't read the conflict confidently on your own. The confusion analysis is genuinely fact-specific to your name, the prior mark, and the channels both of you operate in. An attorney conflict opinion runs $300 to $800 and protects you from spending more on brand expression that would have to be unwound. Second, you're investing substantially in brand building before you filed a federal registration. Podcast under the name, book with the name in the title, named program, public events. At that investment level, the $250 to $350 per class plus attorney fees for federal registration is the right protective spend. What federal trademark registration does not give you is worth naming clearly because the omission gets misread. Informal use of a name in commerce gives you common law trademark rights, but those rights are limited to the specific geographic area where you've actually been operating under the mark, and proving the boundary of that area in court is expensive and uncertain. State-level filings, DBA registration, LLC formation, fictitious business name do not create federal trademark rights, no matter how many years you've been using the name. If the name matters to your practice, federal registration is what protects it nationally. Register early before someone else registers the same mark and forces you off your own name. Clarity Coaching LLC is a directed example I want you to sit with because the pattern repeats. The founder picks the name on aesthetic grounds. Sounds professional, sounds focused, fits her positioning, and runs the federal trademark search for the first time after she's already designed a logo. 3 live registrations come back in Class 41. 2 are arguably different service contexts and probably wouldn't block her use. The third is Clarity Coaching and Consulting for Executive Development, dead center in her niche. 2 paths from there. Pay $300 to $800 for an attorney conflict opinion, or move to her second choice name and run the full 5-step scan again from the top. Common descriptive coaching words: clarity, insight, momentum, apex, attract prior registrations because they describe what coaching feels like. Run tests on the descriptive word alone before you fall in love with the name. Open the naming scan checklist and run all 5 clearance steps against your top 3 name candidates, not your top 1-3. If one of the 3 names clears all 5 checks, that's your name and you can carry it into Module 4's formation steps. If none of the 3 clear all 5, the worksheet helps you score the trade-offs. A name that clears 4 of 5 with a defensible workaround on the 5th may beat a name that clears all 5 but doesn't fit your positioning. Don't spend money on the brand expression, cards, website build, social profiles, swag, before you've run the full checklist. The cheapest moment to discover a problem with a name is before you've spent anything on it. Carry the cleared name into Unit 2.5, where the state of formation decision picks up next.